Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin, pal.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
And hello there, and welcome to Frankie Sense and More. How is everybody today?
Fabulous. Huh?
Yeah, I hope everybody listening is fabulous. That's my guest, Frederick Bai. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
Well, we are going to Africa today, Fred. Nigeria and Benin.
Yeah.
We're going to travel the world. But before we do that, first, as I said, I want to welcome all of you listeners who came back each and every week, because I really thank you for that. We both do. And also, as you know, Frankie Sense and More is aligned with the United Nations global goals, and we love those goals. And every week we share a story and try to give you a good news story that aligns with one of those goals. We're going to take you through all 18 of them eventually. But today, Fred has a story for us. What do you got?
Yeah. Oh, this guy in Rio is amazing. I love this guy. His name is Master Chef Massimo Bottura. Now, I'm not Portuguese. Okay, I'm sorry if I messed up his name. But, you know, he's feeding thousands of Rio's homeless with Olympic leftovers.
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
Yeah, he created a gourmet soup kitchen. And again, I'm not Portuguese. Sorry for the for the name. But the name of the restaurant is Refeito Rio Gastromotiva.
Nice.
And he took on one symbol of Olympic waste. And that is the more than 230 tons of food supply daily to prepare 60,000 meals for athletes, coach, and staff. And you know, to him, he says, no, it's not a culture. It is a cultural project and not a charity. And really, he does that to rebuild the dignity of the people. And you know, every night a new menu is whipped up by a guest chef with the help of students enrolled in vocational training program, and they're cooking 5,000 meals per day.
I love that.
Yeah. And you know what? After the Olympics leave town, the plan is for the restaurant to become a normal restaurant at lunch and a soup kitchen in the evening. And really, the price of one lunch will cover the cost of a dinner for Rio's less fortunate. What an amazing move. What an amazing guy.
Fantastic idea. What a great move. You know, I know that a lot of the people in Rio, they're very poor. They have, you know, the poorest of the poor. And they were upset with all the money that was spent on the Olympic structures and the Olympics.
I
because,
understand
hey,
that.
you know, they don't get any of that money. And they're going to be tearing down a lot of it after the Olympics. It's like, wow, you couldn't even leave a swimming pool for these kids or something. Like, how crazy is that, right?
I know.
A chef who thought, there's a lot of food waste. There's a lot of food left over. Let's feed the hungry. Fantastic. Our hearts and our blessings and everything go out to you. Kudos to you, chef, for thinking of these kids. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yay. Well,
Africa's calling us.
Africa's calling us, and we have just the most amazing ladies on today. Both of them are socialpreneurs and philanthropists. And we'll start with Vanessa Mbamarah. I hope I said that right.
Oh, you messed it up. You messed it up the same way that I did. I messed up her name too. It's Mbamarah.
Mba. Yeah, how do you say it, Vanessa?
Mbamarah. It's Vanessa Mbamarah. The same way Freddie said it, he was Mbamarah, you know, the first time.
Yeah, you guys have an accent on the different. It's different. It's like when you go to Cuba and they use a clave. It's just a different, you know.
I don't know. It's kind of a gangster accent.
It's cool.
You know, it's a cool accent. It's the cool side of English.
Okay, so I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it the way you said traditionally, because I'm actually using the accent and changing it. Locally, you know, traditionally it's pronounced Mbamarah. You know, that's Mbamarah, yes. But, you know, staying here and everything, and we just call it Mbamarah to make it easier for other people.
So Vanessa Mbamarah. She's
Vanessa
a Nigerian-born socialpreneur. She's the founder of Ztallion. It's a multi-armed organization that's dedicated to raising up women and children, regardless of where they're from. And the Ztallion Foundation it has three arms. One is a nonprofit. It's a humanitarian organization where they focus on women, girls, street kids, and orphans by bridging the gap between them and society. And I think you call that lack. And that's the LHC. The EWD, which stands for Empowering Women with Digital, this arm, it recognizes the how women, can really contribute significantly to the economic growth and development in their society. And so it's businesses that they have tried to start, women entrepreneurs, that you help by teaching them how to leverage digital in today's world. And that is amazing. Now, you also have your own marketing company, and you help small and medium-sized companies leverage what they also do through digital services, regardless if they're women or not. Vanessa, I have to ask you, you are Nigerian-born, yet you took your business to the Republic of Benin. Why did you do that?
Well, first of all, after I lost my mom in 2009, I just wanted a new start. I wanted to go somewhere else. So I moved all the way down to Republic of Benin, to start life afresh with my daughter, my siblings. And I would say I went through a lot in Benin. I went from living on the streets. At a point, I was homeless because, we couldn't afford to pay, rent. And, so I went through a lot. And while going through all of that, I stayed in an area where I actually saw these kids, their parents couldn't afford to send them to school. I saw life, So I just decided, I said to myself, if I was going to do something, or when I started something, I'd go back there. I'd start from there. It's an area called Champame, here in the Republic of Benin. So, I went through a lot here in this country. And so I feel that it doesn't really matter where you are. I don't have to go down to Nigeria to do this. I'm here. I see these people every day. I see everything they go through every day. So that was the reason why I decided to have this here in Cotonou.
Vanessa, there's a fine line, I guess, really between homeless and having a home. And it doesn't take very much, does it? Sometimes, to go from one to the other. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you lost your mom, and so you became an orphan, and you also were raising a child on your own. Yes. But you have these skills. Now, did the skills come before or after?
Well, they came after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they came after because. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Okay. When I came down here, because my mom was not educated, so we went through a lot. It was really difficult trying to help her because she didn't really have a lot of skills. She just knew how to sell and make a little profit here and then. So after I gave birth, I was kind of scared because I didn't want to be like my mom. I wanted to be like her, the good qualities, but I didn't want to end up a mom without no skills, no educational skills, nothing. So I had to go back to school. I forced myself. I was doing I was running 2 jobs and I was schooling at the same time. And after that, I had to learn other skills. But before then, I'd gone into IT school to just learn a bit, but it wasn't everything. So along the line, I just had to put myself into work, into learning every skill available to help me, just become someone tomorrow, which, I'm still in the process of.
Mm. Hey, Vanessa, I interviewed you before, and tell us really the story about your childhood, because I think that's where your foundation really came from. Your story, you have a deep story. Tell us, tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say that I had fun on on Frederick's show.
Yeah.
That was my first actually, and I was really nervous. But anyway, I got the hang of it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so growing up...
don't tell all of it, though. Wait, don't tell all of it. Because Vanessa is an author in a new book that's coming out. It's called I Bared My Chest. And so we want you to be teased by her story, but not hear all her story, because we want to go out and buy the book and hear what she has to say. Right, Vanessa?
Yeah, right. Okay, so anyway, I went through a lot while growing up. First, I lost my dad pretty early. And so I was stuck with my mom. Well, not stuck, but I mean, I was actually stuck with my mom and my siblings. And I had to give up a lot. I had to sacrifice a lot because she taught me how to sacrifice a lot, how to just focus on, taking care of my own.
How many siblings?
I had 3, 2 sisters and a brother.
And you were the oldest?
Yes, oldest. But actually, I mean, I came from an extended family. So my dad had 2 wives. My mom's the second. And from my mom's, we're 4. And then my siblings on the other side. So, but we didn't really have a close relationship. So when I say family, I just mean my siblings, my mom, that's just it. So while growing up, I had to make a lot of sacrifices because I just had to be with my mom. I was kind of like her support, and she didn't really have anyone by her side. So growing up, I saw the struggles of being a widow and not being educated, how she had to struggle through, running a business, managing a business. And then at the same time, while I lost my mom, it was just me and my siblings. Everyone relied on me. Everyone was looking to me for support. So I just had to find that strength. And so that led me to looking towards, working, having a group or a platform to work with these kids, because I know what it felt like to not have people to look up to, not have people to stand for you. And at the same time, my mom going through all of that, it kind of like helped, it kind of formed me and, gave me objectives. I didn't know then that these were things that I didn't know how it was going to help me today. But, going through all of that has helped me build what I really, really want.
And you're doing such an amazing job of it. I just have, kudos to you for everything that you're doing. I love how you say, I'm a builder, and you help people become builders too. And so you have all these fantastic ideas that you're bringing to life. Why don't you, we're going to go to a commercial break in about a minute, so I don't want to get you into something really big. But you've got a few projects that we're going to talk about when we come back. Then you've got Project Back to School, Project Give Back 2016. We talked a little bit about the EWD, but we can talk a little bit more about that. And you started a new partnership with TWAY Media in Nigeria to also teach these women how to leverage the digital experience in today's world. So those are big things. But we're going to go to a commercial break. We are waiting also for Victoria Nkong. We're having a little bit of trouble getting her online, but we're going to find her. I know we will. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we've got these 2 ladies, and we're going to the movies today. Brent Marchand's here. It's the end of the month, so you don't want to miss that either. Stay tuned. Yay! We'll be right back.
Heck no, we're just getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
Here's some fun facts about noses and ears I'll bet you didn't know. Did you know your ears secrete more earwax when you're afraid than when you aren't? And generally, people with asthma have better hearing than those who don't. Now, here's a word for you. When someone gets their ears pierced, they're actually piercing their pinna. The pinna is the fleshy part of the earlobe. Did you know it's possible to sneeze so hard you can break a rib? That happened to my husband's secretary once. And according to research, you'll blow your nose 250 times this year. Scientists have also determined that the smell in your right nostril is more pleasant, while the smell in your left nostril is more accurate. By the way, twice as many men as women can wiggle their ears.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's words you never heard.
Recently, I was out having dinner in a restaurant with my family, when suddenly, for no apparent reason, the hostess started to lecture us about our behavior. She made us feel like real ninny-hammers, even though we hadn't done anything. Nevertheless, our hostess was sanctimonious as a cockalorum. That's an old Dutch word meaning someone who crows a lot. She must have been born a smell fungus. That's a person who loves to find fault with others. I really wanted to say something, but the old adage came to mind. Don't insult the alligator until after you've crossed the river. Once I went out with a group of people for sandwiches and coffee, when one person said to the waiter, "Make sure my coffee is in a clean cup." When the waiter returned, he asked, "Okay, which one of you gets the clean cup?"
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my new app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back, and the gang is here. We got Frederick by my co-host. We have Vanessa.
Hello.
I'm going to do this. Wait. Mbamarah.
Jeez.
I give you thumbs up.
There we go. She's here, and we're so glad that she is, because she's just absolutely amazing. And we said that we were going to talk about some of her big projects that are coming up. I mean, she's got grand ideas, and why not? Everybody should have big ideas, and she's a builder, so she's going to make them happen. So, I know that Fred asked you about your mom, and we can talk about her. Oh, she's back. Victoria's back now. And we can talk about, and you did talk a little bit about the significance of her passing and the role that it, put you into as the head of the household, and everybody's looking to you to, kind of keep them. So, did you have big ideas when you were a little girl? Like, what did you think you would be when you grew up?
While I was young, I wanted to be a medical doctor because at that time, I was sickly. I was really sickly. I was asthmatic, yeah. And my mom, sometimes it was difficult to take me to the hospital. And at the same time, she fell ill. She used to have high blood pressure. And so she had a lot of drugs she was taking. Sometimes it was really difficult to take her to the hospital because of the bills. So I said to myself, okay, I was going to be a medical doctor so I could help my mom, treat her, and then she wouldn't have to pay all the bills while going to the hospital. So that was what I actually wanted to be that was what I had in mind, growing up, to be a medical doctor.
Wow. And after being a medical doctor, you kind of, as you were a medical doctor, you if I'm not mistaken, your creative urges were not met.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, because it was too structured. Medical school was too structured. You couldn't just go, do what you wanted. You had to follow the flow. You just couldn't be operating someone and decide, okay, fine, I want to try this new thing, or I saw this on video and I want to try it. It wasn't really possible. So I felt restricted and I couldn't really create, So I just said to myself, probably this wasn't for me, and an opportunity came out when, at a point, Mom couldn't afford to pay my bills, my tuition and all of that. So I jumped at it, and I saw that, look, this was an open door. Just leave this place, and so I took that and I left medical school.
So now let's
hang on, Fred. I just want to say hello to Victoria. She's with us now.
Oh, hello,
Victoria. Welcome. We don't want to be on video because it kind of hurts the sound quality, and we're on radio, so nobody can see anyway.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you. And we're just going to finish up with Vanessa, and then we'll come and we'll talk to you for a few minutes, and then we'll all talk as a game. How's that?
Okay, that's fine.
Great. Thank you.
So as I was saying, now let's fast forward. Okay, you kind of didn't do the medical thing. You kind of wanted to satisfy your creative urges type thing. Now let's fast forward to Project Give Back, because that's what you're about to do, right? In September.
Yes.
So
Project Give Back is December. Okay. Actually, Project Give Back is in December on the 25th, on Christmas Day, actually. It started last year because I remember growing up. And sometimes it was really difficult for us to celebrate Christmas as a family because we have this thing in Nigeria. Christmas Day, especially on the 25th, was all about eating rice and chicken, So sometimes we couldn't afford to eat rice and chicken because, it was really expensive. Imagine the whole of Nigeria going to buy chicken and rice on that day. So it was the prices were hiked up. It was really, really difficult. So most times we didn't have the luxury of having that. So for us, we just said, okay, why not? Because for me, the kids on the street are my brothers, the girls on the street, the orphans, they're all my brothers because we're all together in our own world. Unfortunately, we didn't ask to be this way, but, life put us in this, in this environment. So to me, they are my brothers and they're my sisters. So what we decided to do was, why not just go out and spend Christmas with them? Let them have that feel of what Christmas is all about. Because if you look around, a lot of people, travel to be with their families, they hang out with their friends. Everyone is doing things with their family. Now, these kids do not have their own family, So I said to myself, look, Christmas for me is all about family, and who are the people I call my family? So that was what came up. That was what led to Project Give Back. We started last year, 2015, and we fed 500 kids on the street, the beggars, the less privileged, and we ended up having a party, a mini Christmas party at the shelter home here in Cotonou as well. So for this year, we're looking at extending it to 1,000 kids.
Wow.
And it's huge, but I believe that, we can do it, because I didn't plan to go as much as 500 last year. I just wanted to, just put in a few money, bring in a little money, just cook a little bit and just go out. But I spoke to a few of my friends, and, I just had people donating. Some gave me bags of rice, some gave me, oil, just put everything together. And, when we finished everything, we had over 500, packs of food ready to go out and distribute. And, it happened. So I'm just being very positive that we would be able to reach out to 1,000 kids this year.
We're going to make that happen. And, that is really the true meaning of Christmas. That is the true spirit of Christmas, not what we have and, going to the store and buying and consuming.
Bombarded by advertising.
Yeah, this is it. Get real. You go to the street and you feed the hungry. That's Christmas, man. So how much money do you think it costs to feed 1,000 people?
To be very frank, I haven't calculated that.
Okay. Well, you know what? You come back to us with a dollar amount, and we will try to help raise some of that money so that we can do that. How's that?
Yay!
Okay. Sweet, Victoria, and then we'll come back. And if you have a question for her, don't hesitate to get involved and ask that. So Victoria Nkong is with us. Hello. Oh, boy.
Victoria.
There's lots of noise and there are a lot of kids. Victoria's the CEO of, is it Kitabi? Is that pronounced? Kitabi Events. She's a multilingual entertainment consultant, an events producer, talent manager, and a public speaker. And she's been involved in events production for over 9 years. And she became best known as a bilingual presenter. Would that be bilingual in French and English, or Nigerian local language?
French, English, a bit of Spanish.
French and English.
French and English.
A bit of Spanish.
For her, and she was involved in the prestigious Cora, which is the All African Music Awards show, and that gave her a lot of exposure in the entertainment world, and so she became known there. And then she started off on her own, and she became the CEO of her own organization, Kitabi. And she's also a philanthropist. She's a founding member of, is it Jegedi Paul Foundation? Is how you pronounce it?
Jegedi, but I don't expect you to pronounce it right.
Oh, well. And she's on the Jagedi. And she's on the board of trustees and has acted as the administrator for the foundation for the past 3 years, birthing and executing projects like the annual slum invasion. I'll have to ask you about that, where you reach out to the slums and you empower slum residents through skill acquisition projects and scholarships to the children. And you're also the visionaire behind Share Your Closet charity sales aimed at empowering widows. And you also run the orphanage home and are the mother to the children at the Life Found Orphanage. Welcome, Vanessa. That's so great.
I feel like you know me better than I know myself right now.
Well, you've been responsible for starting the success of many a talented person in Nigeria, I have to say. So, what is that like for you knowing that?
I didn't get the question. Can you come again, please?
That you've been responsible for really, helping stars take off, helping people become successful.
Yeah.
You're the star maker, really, in Nigeria. So how does that feel for you to know that you were responsible for the success of all these people?
It feels really good. It's for me, it's like the only payment I can get for the work that I do. I usually say that money will never do it for me. Like financial, we need the money, but finances will never do it for me. Success for me should be measured by how many lives you're able to touch positively.
Right.
So
Right.
It might seem like I'm working towards my own, it might seem like I'm helping people achieve their dreams, but in actual sense, I'm achieving my own dreams, because really, it's very rewarding. That's what I can say. It's very rewarding.
You heard Vanessa talk about how she goes in her Christmas in the streets event with the chicken and the rice, and you say that you do the slum invasion. How is that similar? The things that you do? What do you do in your invasion? Are you still with us, Victoria?
Oh, lost her.
Did we lose her? Ben?
I guess the network.
It happens.
Yeah. Sounded like she was in a mall or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, let's try
All
to
right, Vanessa.
Yeah, we've still got Vanessa. We're cool with her. I want to know where Ztallion came from. You've got this, I love it. Ztallion with a Z or a Z. Depends where you come from.
Okay, it's Ztallion, coined from the stallion, the male horse. Yes. Now, the thing about it was, okay, the stallion, it's a strong horse. It's masculine, and it's a very strong horse. It has a lot of characteristics. I don't want to start mentioning them. But now the thing was, I look at everything I've been through. I look at, my responsibilities, because I was like the man of the house with my mom. Wow. She fell back, on me. She looked up to me for so many things. Even sometimes she wanted to make decisions. She had to wait till I was back, and then she would discuss it with me. So I felt like, the man of the house. And there's this thing where I'm from, traditionally, they usually say I'm my father's mother, so I was like, so I'm kind of like her in-law. It's just this traditional thing they usually say. So she really, really looked up to me for a lot of things. And then at the same time, I was doing a lot of masculine thing. I was, combining both. And I used to be a tomboy while growing up. So all of that put together, I just like, I had this strong masculine side to myself. And looking through everything I've been to, I just felt like, look, it wasn't, I had to be this really strong girl, And then I was trying to look at, okay, what do I use to tag myself? What animal do I use? Or what figure, what item do I use? And then the stallion came. I researched on it, and I saw its characteristic. It was a leader. It was strong. It was creative. It didn't like to be boxed in. Like if you cage it, you put it in a place, it wants to break. It wants to be free. It wants to be left to explore. And so I said to myself, okay, stallion is masculine. I'm feminine. How do I change that to suit me? And, the Z came about.
Nice.
So the F to Z, so it's Ztallion. And I know that there is no other Ztallion in the whole world. So I'm unique. I'm strong. And, I'm unstoppable. So that is how the Ztallion came into
what a great, okay, we're going to stop you. We're going to another commercial break, and we come back. That's a fantastic story. Ztallion.
Cents and more. We'll be right back after we pay the bills.
It's Merging Never Heard.
If you're like me, sometimes you have trouble choosing between being a couch potato or going out. Hey, it's a big decision for us Scabberlatchers. A Scabberlatcher or a ragabash is another word for a lazy person. Well, a couple from California seems to have solved the problem by inventing a motorized sofa. You may think they're just spinning their wheels, but people have spotted the couple cruising down the street on their drivable Davenport in West Los Angeles and Santa Monica. No word yet on the couple's identity, but a man claiming to be a relative said it's all well within the norm for his fun-loving cousin. I don't know if this Chesterfield on wheels is street legal, but either way, I think the police would have to put up quite a chase before they could couch him.
It's Merging Never Heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
A common food myth is that bread will make you fat. The truth is quite the opposite. If you eat the right kinds of breads and other grains, you can actually lose weight. The fiber found in whole grain foods helps slow digestion, keeping you fuller longer. True whole grain bread products will have whole grain or whole wheat flour as the first ingredient. If you see anything else, it is not what you want to eat, even though it may say wheat. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that overweight people who acquired all of their grain servings from whole grains lost more belly fat than those who skipped the whole grains. You should still avoid refined grains like enriched flour, but a moderate amount of whole grain bread can be a great asset to a balanced diet. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond.
Hey, and we're back, and you are too, and we got you back. We finally got her back in Nigeria, and I don't know if she's on the move right now. She's going to look for a quieter spot. Hopefully she's with us. And Vanessa's still here, and Brent Marchand is going to show up in a bit to talk about the movies. But hey, let's talk to Victoria. You ready for us, Victoria?
Yes, I am.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So what do you have on the go? Oh, I was asking you about the slums. What do you do with your slum invasion? How does that work?
Basically, when we're going to launch the foundation, I said to myself, I didn't want to do one of those high-profile events where you invite all the people that have money. For me, it looks like a show-off. And the foundation was supposed to be tuned towards helping a certain category of people. So I thought to myself, we should go launch the foundation in an environment where those kind of people will have access to us. And so that's how it started. We went there on the first year. We had spelling bees. We took celebrities to them because I believe they do not have the money or the exposure to go see some of these celebrities. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was very touched by the outcome of the launch, which I did in the slum. There were the food that we take for granted in our own world, so to speak, was a big deal to people there. I had parents fighting their own kids to even struggle with their own kids to have access to food. It was very emotional. So after that, I said to myself, I am not going to lose touch of these people who are also part of the world. And so that's how slum invasion was birthed.
How many people are living in the slums, population-wise, compared to those down, I think?
Oh, trust me, the majority of the population is from the
majority of the slums. Wow. That's pretty tough.
In October 2015, you did a charity auction tag, Share Your Closet, and there were 30 widows present. Talk to us a little bit about that and your experience.
Okay, that is well. As a matter of fact, we had envisaged 15 widows who we had invited. From experience, when you ask people for sponsorship, you don't get a lot of a feedback. So I said to my team, we're going to ask people to give us those items that are still valuable, but they do not really need. For example,
can you speak up a little bit? Can you try to speak up a little bit? Because that baby crying is overshadowing your voice. Sorry.
Wow, you're picking up the entire background noise. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, so I said we decided to reach out to people to pick up items from them that are valuable, that they do not really need anymore. Mm-hmm. And so we sold all of those on auction, and the proceeds was supposed to be used to empower 15 widows. In the long run, we had a bit above 30 widows who were present at the empowerment venue, even though we had planned for 15. So we tried to share some of the items and some of the proceeds, and we looked at the short-term business plan with each of these widows of what they could do, what they could set up as a business with the little income that we're giving to them and the connection people give to them. And basically, since then, we've been monitoring from time to time to see how the business is going.
Okay.
And how is it going? Are they, functioning? Like they got a little bit on their feet. Are they able to carry on?
A few of them, yes. A few of the others probably didn't stand the test of time. Mm-hmm. So we organized for small-scale counseling for them. At times some people just need a pat on their back to say you can do this. Some people have lost faith in themselves. Some people. So instead of going to judge to say you have squandered the finances you were given for business, we try to get them counseled, and then we have learned lessons as well. For the next Share Your Closet, we are not giving money to anybody. We are going to try to set up the business for you. So you tell us what you would like to do, and we help you start up something.
So let me ask you, is there an industry in Nigeria? I mean, is that why, is there jobs if people were to start something? Can they make it work for themselves? I mean, with so many people living in the slums, you have to wonder there's actual work?
There's probably not so much out there waiting for you, but you can always create something for yourself. The beauty about Lagos, where I am in Nigeria, is there's a population, there's a large number of people. And so whatever it is you get into, you have clients for. So even if you are going to be selling just pens or pencils for writing, there's a large number of people to purchase these items. So you can roll over often if you're tenacious enough, if you push hard enough. So the jobs may not be out there waiting, but you can create something for yourself, and there's like a waiting market. There's a large number of people to purchase your product.
I think, I don't know if you know that Vanessa has her Empowering Women with Digital program, where she helps women who want to get into business learn the, social media and how to use the digital world, which I think, like you said, Vanessa, if you start something, there's a world waiting for you. And because of the web, you're not stuck just selling to people in Nigeria. You can offer services around the world.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, if there's a way that you guys could even, collaborate.
In fact, I was thinking about it already. For the Slum Foundation, what we do is that we partner with skill acquisition companies. So we go to fashion industry and say, would you help us train 5 people? We go to a driving school to say, would you help us train 5 drivers? So we partner with people in different fields. So when we go to the slums, besides the entertainment and the donations, we believe in teaching them something they can use to fend for themselves. So for example, we will partner with Vanessa and add her to our list of partners. So when we go to the slum, we also have a few people register for digital trainings, of which we send them to her, and then she trains them for us, and voila, people learn a new skill and a new means of making a living. So yes, absolutely, I will hunt Vanessa down and I will make her one of the partners.
How expensive though would it be for someone to buy a computer and to get online there? Is that a possibility?
It's part of what we do for them.
Okay.
So most of the fields we train people in fields where we know that your startup income is not so much. It's something we can afford to help you with. So if we will train a caterer, for example, we know that we can come up with small income for you to start a small pastry business, or we can hook you up with a hotel who needs an assistant caterer, and we can say we can vouch for this person that she has learned and she can, take the role. So use.
Briefly, what's the story behind the foundation? What's your story, Victoria? Like, why did you start this? Because most foundations, they're started because someone has some kind of a story, something that bothers them, a pain, something that, you know what I mean? What's your story, Victoria?
For me, it's 2 things. From an early age, I was looking for a meaning to life. I knew there had to be something more than just going out and earning money and coming back home. I wanted to find that something, and I was quick to realize that I got my groove from making other people happy, from solving people's problems. So I sort of fine-tuned it and realized that I wanted to run a charity. I had different ideas of what it should be. I wanted to run like an open kitchen where people could come and get free food, for example. But then something tragic happened along the line in our life. I lost my older sister. We were very close, and
I'm sorry.
Felt like I lost everything at that time. Life lost the meaning. I couldn't give myself to work. I literally threw out all my jewelry and everything that looked like it was vain in my life. And besides losing her though, we couldn't get across to the husband and the kids for a very long time. So there was a need to do something.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because, here in America, if you lose a sister, you go to a psychologist, you go to a social worker. When there's a tragedy, you go to a specialist. It's not the same in Nigeria or Benin, right?
No.
What happens? What happens when you get a tragedy? You just go to God, you get on your knees and you pray. Right?
It's different for different people. People around here are not very open to going to the psychiatrists or psychologists yet. But incidentally, in my case, I had to see one.
I
Oh, really?
had to court a psychologist for about a month because it wasn't getting better after the first 2 years. You come out looking strong to the world. You come out with a smile. But I know what happens to me when I'm back in my closet alone. I'm crying. I'm beating myself, and also, I literally had to go through that process, and it helped a lot.
Change happens best in chaos, I think. One of the things that I just wanted to just mention one thing, Fred. One of the things that they do here, the ladies do here, we have a store like My Sister's Closet, where instead of giving, they donate clothing, so like suits that these ladies can wear to a job interview, or clothing that they can. Because a lot of times, when you go for jobs, the pros, people don't look at you, don't feel confident. You have the right clothes on. It can make all the difference for you.
You broke up a little bit.
You walk taller. Oh, did I break up? Yeah, you just walk taller, and when so that's one thing. I don't know if you guys are having something like that, or maybe you already do have something like that, where people donate the clothes to those that are looking for work.
Again, around here, people are not even so open to donating their clothes. There's a lot of beliefs about what people can do with your personal belongings. So
true, very true.
You need to convince people, you need to enlighten people a lot. But like I said, for Share Your Closet, we got a number of people who eventually agreed to send in clothes. And the ones who didn't want to will say to you, I don't know who's going to be wearing my clothes. I can't give them out, but I'll give you some money. And do what you want with it. So a few people, rather than giving their clothes,
that's a different attitude. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And there's this idea, there's this thing about, Africa in general. Sometimes we attach a lot of spirituality to what we do. Like some people, like she said, what she said, some people don't like to give out their clothes because they believe that if they give out their clothes, they have this spiritual attachment to their clothes. So when someone else wears it, they don't know what the person's going to do with their clothes, or they could do a spiritual thing and it could affect them. So a lot of people do not really like to give out personal things and properly worn. It's just a mentality over here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I see. Interesting. So
we're going to
go to a break shortly, but I wanted to ask you, what is next on the horizon for you, Victoria? What's the big plan, the big life plan?
We've got Share Your Closet. We've got Slum Invasion First coming up in a few weeks. I'm also thinking of enlarging the orphanage home. At the moment, we take a maximum of 20 children at a time, but we're thinking of possibilities of expanding and reaching out a lot more to not just children anymore, expanding to women, abused women, and abused girls.
Hold your thought.
Oh, sorry.
Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
It's words you never heard.
A few years ago, some fishermen off the coast of Italy discovered some pottery along with fish in their nets. Divers were called out and discovered an ancient Roman ship whose galley, or caboose, a nautical term for kitchen, was extremely intact. Some of the food uncovered on board was pickled fish, wine, oil, and grain used to make the ship's biscuits, otherwise known as dandy funks. It is thought the 2,000-year-old boat was probably on its way to Spain when it sunk and was covered by layers of mud, baggy wrinkles and all. Baggy wrinkles are another name for the ship's ropes. The mud protected the ship from wear, explaining why the leftover food on board was still in such good condition. We land lubbers may not be familiar with leftovers on the sea, but we are familiar with leftovers in our kitchen.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back. You're back with Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. Frederick Bai, my co-host, is here. Vanessa, I'm not even going to say it. And Victoria Nkong is here. And we're all here. And now Brent Marchand is here. And Brent is the Good Radio Network's movie correspondent. He comes on every month to talk to us about what great movies are out there. And today you've got 3 winners. And I saw 2 of them.
Well, thanks so much for having me back, Frankie.
Oh, I love it. You know that.
Love it.
So tell us what you got here.
I'm sorry?
I said, tell us what movies you're going to talk about today.
Well, my first choice is a documentary that's playing in a number of theaters in limited release right now, but it should be coming to DVD at some point. It's called Gleason, and it's a biography of a former football player named Steve Gleason, who, after he retired from playing, was diagnosed with ALS. And rather than let his condition get him down, he decided he was going to do something to try and make the most of the time that he had left, and also to benefit others who were similarly afflicted. What he did is he established a foundation known as Team Gleason. He got a lot of other former players and other celebrities to get behind him and back it on it to raise funds for helping ALS victims realize, like bucket list kind of dreams, and also to help them make their lives more fulfilling by giving them access to technology and other means of support to make their life easier. And then
That's
years later, I'm sorry?
I said, that's just a horrible disease.
It really is. And the
for our
thing
listeners out there, what's ALS exactly?
It's the Lou Gehrig's disease. Have you heard of that? It's where everything, like your body, eventually you just can't breathe. Yeah, everything just stops.
It's really a very cruel disease because your mind stays intact, but the muscles all go.
Yeah.
It's the same illness that affected Lou Gehrig. It's also the same disease that affects Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's in Gleason's case. In Gleason's case, he decided to establish this foundation, and years later, it also went on to start raising funds for ALS research. It was the organization that was behind the Ice Bucket Challenge that was so popular about a year ago.
Right.
Yeah. So he really, the film is it's very interesting in the fact that it provides a very graphic depiction of what happens to him. Because it starts out not long after he's first diagnosed and then carries on to the point where he's wheelchair bound and can't speak anymore and so forth. Shows what it does to him physically, shows what it does to his marriage and so forth. But it also indicates, that he's not going to let this deter him from living his life as fully as possible, helping others, becoming a father.
Didn't he go trekking in the mountains in a wheelchair or something?
Yeah, he went trekking to the mountains in Alaska. He went skydiving.
Yeah.
I mean, he was convinced not to let him, get him down. So
it's unstoppable. Yeah.
It's really quite an inspiring movie, and it's interesting in the fact that it's gotten a lot of buzz since it came out. It was the kind of movie that, you thought was maybe going to play in very limited markets and not get much attention, but some of the places where it's gone, it's been held over, and they've had extra screenings and so forth because it's so inspiring to see the examples set here that I think people are just going to love it.
What did you learn about it? What did you learn in that movie? What did it teach you about life? You know what I mean?
Never give up.
It's
something that it's something that we hear all the time, but rarely do you get to see such a vivid example as what's presented in this film.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's just fantastic. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so my next movie is one that's in commercial release right now, very popular. Florence Foster Jenkins.
I loved it.
Which is the film biography of a woman who was a socialite and arts patron back in the 40s, was very generous with her money. She was quite wealthy. helping out the New York art scene in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And she actually also fancied herself something of a performer. The only problem is that she couldn't hit a note to save her life.
Yeah, she was totally tone deaf. But you know what was really sad about this woman? She got married at 17, and on her wedding night, her husband gave her syphilis.
Yes.
And the cure for syphilis back then was mercury. So they were giving her mercury, which is a poison, and it made all of her hair fall out. So she had to wear wigs for the rest of her life and have sores on her body that came and went. Go ahead, Brent, sorry.
But the thing that was so interesting also about her character is her art really sustained her in terms of giving her meaning in her life, giving her support, because at one scene there's a doctor who's treating her who tells her husband, played by Hugh Grant, that he had seen syphilis patients who survived maybe 15 years with the disease, but she had lived with it for 50. She was determined to carry on her mission of bringing art to the world. And, you know, if she couldn't sing, well, so what? You know, she enjoyed it. Her friends, you know, kind of looked the other way about it, especially when she was being financially generous and supporting their causes. But also the fact that, you know, who's going to deny a dying woman her wish of being, you know, celebrated in a way that she really enjoys. Meryl Streep plays the lead as Florence Foster Jenkins. She, once again, is absolutely terrific. I think she's almost a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination for this role. And,
not easy to sing off key, you know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Meryl Streep has a beautiful singing voice, so for her to intentionally sing off key has probably got to be quite a feat in and of itself.
So she actually played. She sang at Carnegie Hall. So that was her big, you know, tour de force. She sang at Carnegie Hall, and you know, music lovers know that is the place in New York City where, you know, people go to hear fantastic music. So that was her, you know.
In your blog, you write, honesty is trickier to manage than one might think, despite it generally being considered the best policy. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's interesting.
Sure. Her husband, played by Hugh Grant, is very protective of her reputation, making sure that she never catches wind of any of the criticisms that people might have of her. And some might say, you know, are they really doing her a favor by keeping her in the dark about all this? But by the same token, you know, it's also an act of compassion, you know, allowing her to have her voice despite the fact that she doesn't have one. And that's an important lesson, I think, sometimes for us when we look at the question of when is too much honesty a good thing.
Yeah, in her case, it really wasn't.
No.
And ladies, feel free to ask any questions if you have any about these movies. Yeah, I mean, in real life, she died of a broken heart.
Well, what about her entourage back then? You know, when they find out, or when?
Her husband kind of picked people off to you know, be supportive of her. It was invitation-only audiences usually, so that she never caught wind that they enjoying themselves.
Yeah, her entourage really had her back. I mean, she was really, totally in the dark that anybody would have possibly thought that she couldn't sing.
But she could play piano.
I mean, that was really, you know, quite a feat to pull off in terms of the fact that over time she began to become quite renowned in New York art circles. How do you keep the lid on this as long as you did? And that was really quite a tribute to what her husband's role did.
Yeah, that's a love story, really. I mean, he had a girlfriend and everything, but that was a love story. He really, you know, there was a great love that he had, I think, for her to do that for that many years. Like, that's pretty amazing.
And it's fun that these kinds of movies are really selling now. You know what I mean? Like, you mentioned that they're in theaters and stuff like that because, I don't know, usually stuff with meaning, you know, usually the stuff that is mindless sells a lot, you know what I mean? Like these movies and all that stuff. And it's fun to know that these kinds of movies are out there and they're selling.
Yeah, well, movies. Cineplex, you know, I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, movies like Gleason and Florence Foster Jenkins have really been kind of some of the saving graces of the summer movie season, which has been pretty disappointing all the way around so far. Usually it's a time of year when you have all the big budget action adventure releases and so forth, and you get, your summertime thrill rides and so forth. And this year they just haven't been there. Those movies really haven't been coming through. So it's been nice to see that these so-called little artsy films have been stepping up to the plate and giving avid movie fans something really, worthwhile to look forward to.
Vanessa, Victoria, I'm just wondering, like, when you go to do you go to the movies in Africa, in Nigeria and Benin? And if you do, is it local talent, or do you see things from USA?
Personally, I don't even have
to the movies a lot here. No, but the cinema culture around here in Nigeria is well developed. Yeah, people go to the movies, and then there's a lot of foreign movies out here. People prefer to watch foreign movies than even our local movies. It's
really
funny.
How much does it cost you to go to the movies there?
There are two prices, weekend and weekdays, but in all, it's very few dollars. It will be about $10 or less.
It's like here.
And do you have not like here? And do you have like treats? Do you eat popcorn there? That's very popular.
Yeah, of course. There's complimentary popcorn and drink in some packages.
You know what it costs here to go to a movie for two people and have popcorn? $40.
Whoa. Okay.
In Toronto, maybe. Montreal, Montreal is less than that, I would say.
Wow. Yeah, it costs us like $40 a weekend.
Toronto is just a very expensive place.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Well, even where I live outside the city. But okay, Brent, sorry. Remember.
No problem. And that last movie is called Remember, which is available on DVD, Blu-ray, and video on demand. It's a Canadian film that came out earlier this year in very limited release and also played at some film festivals. And it's very quietly been developing some buzz as people are beginning to discover it. I don't want to give away too much about it because it's a very suspenseful,
it's a beautiful movie. But Christopher Plummer is a lead actor.
Yeah, it stars Martin Landau and Christopher Plummer as a pair of octogenarians who managed to survive Auschwitz.
Oh my gosh, we're running out. We've got a minute left. Left. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
no problem.
Well, we can't give away the plot anyway because if you do, they survived Auschwitz, and then life goes on. You have to read
the important thing to remember about the movie is it explores the question of when does justice become vengeance.
Yes. Okay, awesome. We need you guys to go to www.Ztallion.com, and also we need you to visit our friend Victoria at www.QTabyEvents.com. So QTABY events.com. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming to us via Nigeria and West Africa and Benin. And Brent, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Frankie.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Frankie.
You. Thank you so much.
Bye, Frederick.
Bye, Victoria.
Bye,
Vanessa.
Bye.
All right, bye, Brent.
Thank you, Ben. This is Ben's last show with us. Clapping for Ben. Thank you for being my producer for the last little while. We'll miss you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
She not you, she the one way to turn the world.